Hey, what's up, guys? It's Nunnker, and welcome to part 3 of my UFC 101 declaration, full card predictions and analysis. Alright, so, as I said, I am going to be at this event. I was at the weigh-ins and Q&A yesterday, and I have a blog that I'm setting up for this event for both of the days. And there's something in it that I think you guys will really like and enjoy. That will be up either tonight or tomorrow. I will be at this event, so feel free to say hello if you see me. Alright. We left off. I had Silva by submission over Johnny Hendricks, the official program. And now next fight of the night is the co-main event. Forrest Griffin, they have his own little page, against... Whoa, look at his chest right there. Yikes. Okay, against Anderson Silva. Okay, so you all know about this fight. Anderson Silva, obviously, in my opinion, most people's opinion, some people, Anderson Silva is the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. He's the UFC middleweight champion. He has the most consecutive wins in the UFC, 9-0 in the UFC, 9 wins in the UFC. He has the most consecutive title defenses in the UFC. And tonight, apparently, if he wins this fight tonight, if Anderson Silva defeats Forrest Griffin tonight, he'll be the first man in UFC history to beat top 10 fighters in 2 different weight classes. That's what I read. Top 10 fighters in 2 different weight classes. So this is another record Silva's trying to break. Silva, in my opinion, one of the best strikers of all time. Great jiu-jitsu. He's a black belt under the Nogueira brothers. He has great jiu-jitsu and a very, very, I think, overlooked jiu-jitsu because his striking's so good. Like Ed Soares said in the Countdown show, you know, his striking is so good that people forget how good his jiu-jitsu is. You know, he's beaten Dan Henderson, who's a great wrestler, on the ground by submission. He's beaten jiu-jitsu ace Travis Lutter by submission. You know, he has submissions, but he's just such a devastating striker. People forget about how good his jiu-jitsu is. And that guy Robert Drysdale saying that Forrest Griffin is gonna submit Anderson Silva. I don't know where he's coming from. I am not biased. I love Forrest Griffin. Forrest Griffin is one of my favorite fighters. I love Forrest Griffin. So if I'm sounding biased right now, I'm just saying, I'm just sounding like that because I am amazed by how good Anderson Silva is. But Forrest Griffin, you know, he is not a great submission artist. I'm not going to spend too much time on this Robert Drysdale quote, but Anderson Silva has much better jiu-jitsu than Forrest Griffin, in my opinion. He's a black belt under the Nogueira brothers. He is just a better jiu-jitsu. I don't know. Forrest Griffin, I don't believe has any belt in jiu-jitsu. He didn't submit Quentin Rampage Jackson when he had him mounted for the whole second round, and Silva's jiu-jitsu is much better than Quentin Rampage Jackson's. So I don't know. But anyways, okay, so Forrest Griffin is the former UFC light heavyweight champion. He's coming off a loss to Rashad Evans by TKO. He has huge wins over Shogun Rua, Quentin Rampage Jackson. The list goes on. You know, he has remember, you know, one of the biggest fights in UFC history that shaped the UFC. When he beat Stephan Bonner, he beat him twice, but the first fight was huge. He's the Ultimate Fighter 1 winner. It'll make a great movie, you know, like he said. And I love his attitude in this going into this fight. You know, he's saying, you know, somebody's got to beat him. Why not me? And that's the attitude you need to beat Anderson Silva. Forrest Griffin is not going to sit there like Thalasitis and pull guard. He's going to push the pace, and he's going to make it a fight. Sorry about that, but yeah, I think that's what Anderson Silva needs. He needs to be pushed, you know. Thalasitis, Patrick O'Tay, they did not really push him, you know. They fought, they didn't push him, though, especially Thalas. But Forrest Griffin, you know, he is the best when he is the underdog. You know, he obviously upset Shogun Rua when he was considered one of the best. He upset Jackson when he won the title. And against Evans, he was kind of not really an underdog. And Jardine, he wasn't really an underdog, and he ended up losing. You know, this is real fighting. That's, you know, if he's an underdog, that doesn't mean he's going to win. But, you know, he plays the underdog role very well. Anderson Silva, I think, will just be better in this fight, personally. I think he's better in every aspect, except I will give Forrest Griffin 2 things. 1, I will give him the ability if he gets Silva to the ground, to ground and pound and stay on him and punish Silva while he's on top. The other one I would kind of give is just his overall size. You know, he's a big light heavyweight, long reach. He's a big guy. You know, he's strong. I don't know if Silva will be used to the strength, you know, the strength of Forrest Griffin. He's fought a lot of middleweights. He used to be light heavyweights, but, you know, Griffin's no James Irvin. Griffin's no Thalasslitis. Griffin is no Patrick O'Tay. Griffin is an elite light heavyweight. And, I think that you know, he has a good game, training camp. He trains out of Extreme Couture. Great guys there. Martin Kampman, Gina Carano, Gray Maynard, Randy Couture. Tons of tough guys. And I think, you know, Griffin is going to give Silva a good fight. But like I said, Silva will just be better everywhere. He will be faster for sure. He will be more technical for sure. This is all in my opinion, of course, but I think he'll be better at striking. I think he'll have better head movement. I think he'll be more elusive, better in the clinch, better Muay Thai, better knees. Griffin has good leg kicks, maybe a little better. I don't know. I'll give the leg kicks even, but leg kicks won't win you a fight. You know, Griffin does have a great chin, but you know, Evans and Jardine were able to finish him. There's no reason why Anderson won't. You know, and Anderson on the ground, I think, has better jiu-jitsu. And personally, I think Anderson will just be better in this fight, period. So I'm going to have to go with Anderson Silva here to win a TKO, late second round, early third round-ish. Something like that. Alright, main event of the evening. BJ Penn, UFC lightweight champion BJ Penn taking on #1 ranked challenger Kenny Florian. Okay, so I'll show you guys this first. Kenny has his own page, of course. Kenny Florian, he had his title shot against Sean Shirk back in, I think, 2006. I'm not positive, but I think it was 2006. That's the main one. And when he fought Sean Shirk at UFC 64, and he lost he got dominated, you know. Shirk was stronger, a better wrestler. Shirk was just better. And after losing that unanimous decision, you know, Florian kind of renewed himself and came back better than ever. Florian 2.0, you know, and he's on a 6-fight win streak. He beat Dokan Janosuke Mishima, Joe Lozon, Alvin Robinson. He beat Din Thomas, Roger Huerta, and Joe Stevenson in his last fight. He beat Joe Stevenson actually faster than Penn beat him. He beat him in the first round. Took Penn 2, but whatever. Kenny Florian finished all of the fights except Roger Huerta, but he did dominate Roger Huerta. Florian went out and trained with George St. Pierre for this fight. You know, Greg Jackson's camp, because he really thought that St. Pierre, you know, had a good game plan against BJ. So I'm sure that'll help him. BJ brought in Marvin Renovich, something like that. I never heard of this guy, but whatever. Can't hurt, you know. He moved his camp to, I think, American Top Team he's training with now. I don't know. He moved the camp somewhere. And, you know, Penn is going to come in this fight knowing he needs to win, knowing how important this is for him, and knowing that his career is literally on the line here. If he loses, I don't know where he goes from here. Florian, though, you know, he is very confident. You know, he's talking a lot, saying he might finish him in the first round, being skill for skill. I don't agree with that personally. I think Penn is better in a lot of areas. First of all, Penn destroyed Sean Shirk, and Florian got destroyed by Shirk. Even though that was a while ago, just saying. Penn is coming back down to 155. Penn has looked his best at 155. And I think Penn will be better at boxing, better punches. I'll give Florian kicks. Speed, I think, will be about even. Penn will be the better boxer. Penn will be better at jiu-jitsu. Florian, I don't think, will have the better jiu-jitsu. Penn is that crazy flexibility. And I think Penn's flexibility will help if Florian takes it to the ground. So yeah, Penn, I think has better jiu-jitsu. So I think Penn is better in a lot of areas here. Florian obviously training with Mark Delagrati. I don't know. This is really it's a close fight. Don't get me wrong. You know, Florian's a great fighter, 6-fight win streak, and he could definitely pull the upset. But I think Penn is going to be very focused and very determined to win this fight. And I think coming off that loss to Pierre, he learned a lot, and I think that he's going to go in here, and I think Penn will somehow pull off a win. I think it'll be closer in the Shirk fight, closer in the Stevenson fight, closer in the Polar fight, and I think Penn will win, though. I think he'll retain his belt. I'm not sure how. I'm gonna say a TKO, possibly by ground and pound or some punches, kind of like Shirk. I'm gonna say fourth, fifth round. So that's my UFC 101 predictions. This will be live on pay-per-view in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Obviously, if you see me there, feel free to say hello. I will see you guys when I put my blog up. So enjoy the fights.